we uncover the layers of personal transformation, healing, and self discovery, often through the lens of psychedelics. Here, we explore the masks we wear, the ones we shed, and the truths we uncover along the way. Today, I am joined by Soul, who has had many profound experiences that completely shifted her perspective on psychedelics. We will dive into one of her journeys, what led to it, how it changed her, and what insight she took away from it. I'm really excited to have you here, girl.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So, when it comes to psychedelics, before we get into your story, what was your thoughts about psychedelics? And what kind of led you to your experience and you wanting to like explore what they were talking about?
Yeah, so I was actually afraid of psychedelics. One of the first I'll never forget, one of the first books that my mom ever bought me was Go Ask Alice. And if like people aren't familiar, it's this fictional journal of a girl who got addicted to LSD. And yeah, and it's just like her journal entries and just her journey of it was like she was chasing the high acid. And I remember being scared, right? Like, but then like I and it's so funny because then I tried every other drug besides that.
Besides LSD.
Once that we right? Like, I tried everything else after that, right? Like, but I was always so scared. And and then and then obviously, like, it finally got introduced to me. My brother had mentioned he had done it, and I was kinda like that was kinda like the first seed that I was like, "Okay, well, he made it out alive."
Mhm.
Um, and then I was dating someone and they were explaining, like, their experiences and how, like, profound it had been for them, and so I started doing research. I was like I'm a Reddit girl, so I was just, like, looking at people's experiences. And, and then one day I was just like, "Okay, I'm ready to try it." Um, and it 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 proved to be not as scary as what I thought it was,
Very
and
much,
it actually brought on a lot of growth and transformation.
very much so. That's so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all like when we first hear about psychedelics, we're like, I thought like when somebody first told me about psychedelics, they told me about LSD, and I was like, acid. That's like crack, bro.
Yeah.
Like you should not be doing acid. Um, but yeah, that's dope. So can you take us back to the experience that changed your view on psychedelics and what was the setting like and what were your feelings like at that time?
There were so many. I wanna say it was a shrooms trip. And I actually went to a park here in Richmond, and I took some shrooms, and I drove there, and then I was like, well, I've never been to this park before, but it ended up being so beautiful. And you I walked down, there's like a lake, and I first just started once it started kicking in, I noticed like I was just really connecting with nature.
Mhm.
Um there was like a stork type bird out there, and I just followed it along its path, like watching it, and it was just walking really slow, and I just intentionally watched it for a while, and then I went and found like a little clearing and just kind of laid out in the grass.
Mhm.
And I had all these great moments. I had a lot of adverse childhood experiences. Um, you know, my mom was a single mom, my dad was absent, and I always had a lot of, resentment and you know, unhappy feelings around my childhood.
Right.
And in that day, one of the most amazing experiences I had was like this realization that it was my first time here.
Mm.
And if it's my first time here, it was their first time. And I came out of that experience, like, with so much forgiveness,
Mm.
um, for them, right? Like, they didn't know what they were doing. They were doing exactly what, like, a lot of times what had been shown to them. There was no
Right.
handbook when I got here, right? There was no handbook for a single mom in the 80s. There was no, you know,
Mm.
and they just, we reenact what we know. And so that was a moment of it. And so that slow intentionality, right? Following the bird, then that radical forgiveness that I had for them. And then and for myself too, right? Like all the mistake, like all of the mistakes that I've made throughout life, they're just me, like it's just trial and error, right? Like I didn't know. I don't know what I'm doing on a
Right.
day-to-day basis. And I'm doing something, I'm also living a life that nobody else in my family has lived before.
Mm.
So I had to had that moment with myself. And then another one that comes from that experience is I had just started my business, and I was still afraid to like let go of having like somebody pay me. So I decided I was going to deliver newspapers. And and it's I don't know why anybody would want to do this. It's not as glamorous as the little kid riding down the street on a bike.
Hilarious.
It's you're up at midnight, you're going to pick
Stop.
up these papers, and then you have to go distribute them in the dark, and like, and then people, like, it's not just throwing it, like, if you don't have a good arm, which I don't, like, you're not just throwing it out the window. Like, you're, like, constantly getting up and out the car. And I remember, so one the la I did it for a week, I lasted a week, and the last night, yeah. The last night, what really killed it all was um I got out the car to go deliver a paper to somebody's doorstep, and then I walked back to my car, and I walked through this massive spider web, massive, like covers me up. It's like arachnophobia, right? And so it's like arachnophobia, and I just like walked through this thing, and I start flipping out. Mind you, it's like 3, 4 a.m. And I'm just like, "Fuck this shit." I'm sorry, but, like, I'm just like, "Fuck this, I'm not doing this anymore, like, this is stupid, I don't even know why he did that." And I'm really upset, I quit. I was like, "I'm never coming back." I took them the rest of their newspapers, like, I was just like, "We're done here." And, so then in the same experience, it was, like, a few weeks after that,
Mhm.
and I started thinking about that moment, right? Where I was like freaking out. I walked through the spider web. It ruined my whole evening, right? And then I started thinking about the spider.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, damn, the spider just spent all night probably making that
Yeah.
web, right? Like
Yeah.
it probably spent all night. Like it was probably perfect. I could imagine like the spider being like, yeah, I'm gonna get some juicy flies, moths, mosquitoes, everything, right? Because it was the summertime. Like it's the summertime, the spider. And I was like, and I thought about it and I was like, damn, like you made a big deal about that. That ruined your night, right? And all the spider knew was like, that spider knew in that moment, all it had to do was make another web. Because it had to eat.
Mhm.
It didn't take the time to probably cry about it. It didn't take the time to, complain about it. It said, I have to eat. This is my purpose, right? This is my purpose to make these webs, catch these flies, be in this order of the animal kingdom, right? Because that's their purpose, right? They collect the nagging flies and stuff. And I have to recreate another one. And it probably just got back up and made another one. And it made me really think about how many times I've been knocked down and wallowed in it and sat there and cried and sat in the depression and sat in the fear of getting back up.
Right.
And it really was a great lesson on resilience as well. Um, and it's not saying I don't take a moment to pause, right? We take a moment to pause and re strategize because I'm sure the spider was like, well, maybe that wasn't a good place. right? Maybe we go a little bit higher where somebody can't walk through it. You know, you sit down, you strategize, and then you get back up and you do it again.
Mhm.
Um, so it ended up being such that experience was just so profound because
Beautiful.
I was able to let go a little bit more of that resentment that I had from my childhood, but also find the strength to keep getting up and keep moving in my purpose and what I'm doing on a day to day.
Mm.
Yeah, that was that was such a it was that was a great experience in the middle of the woods. It was just so perfectly timed
Mm.
um at the beginning of my career, and it keeps me going um on a day to day. Like, I think when people ask me, they're like, "How do you keep?" or like, "Well, how do you do these things?" And I'm just like, uh, "Drugs, psychedelics." Like, shrooms, shrooms gave me this insight. It was like, "Oh, I can, like, I can get
Much
back up and keep going." It was shrooms.
will teach you. They will like freaking put you in your place to where you're
Yeah,
no, I don't have to have control. You know,
yeah,
I can let go, I can release. And that's the biggest thing I love about mushrooms. Like you said, like the resilience aspect of it and understanding like your strength. And I think that herbal medicines can really help us hone in on that strength and that true inner wisdom that we have. So that's profound. I love that. And I love
yeah.
you with the spider. That's so dope.
Yeah, spider was like, "Yo," I was like, "A spider," and it's like one of those things. It's like these little things that save your life, right? Like
Right.
that spider web and that one little spider that I didn't even see,
Mm,
saved and changed the trajectory of my life,
very much so.
and it's so beautiful, and um, and I think that is the power of mushrooms, right? Like, it makes you turn inward. Like, it makes you really look at yourself. Like you said, it'll sit you down and be like, "Look, you gotta you gotta look at this, and not look to anybody else."
Mm,
Um, because I'm sorry, I don't have there was one more thing that happened that day that I did just think about.
mhm.
This was a long day. This was
Oh,
and,
yeah, mushrooms will be ugh.
yeah, it was a long day. Um, so after that, I went and sat on a bench by the lake, and I was looking at it, and I saw this woman,
Mhm.
and she was taking pictures down, like there was like a bridge, so like the water was going under there, and so she's like taking pictures with her camera. And I was like, "Oh, that's so cool," and I started taking a picture of her because I just thought, like, capture this beautiful moment of her, like, and then the shrooms was like, "Wait, why are you watching her experience this? Like, go see what she's looking at."
Mhm.
Like, go see what it was. And I went over there, I walked over, I waited until she walked away because I didn't wanna be a weirdo, but, like, I waited till she walked away, and there was just, like, this little family of turtles swimming. And, like, it was exactly, right? Well, it was, like, all this, like, baby turtles swimming, and and I was just like, "Oh my gosh." And so another thing that came from it was I was so busy watching her experience it that I almost didn't go experience it for myself.
Mm.
And I feel like we all kind of walk through life doing that, and it's more prevalent now with social media. We watch other people experience stuff, which is beautiful, but like also know that they're guides to go and experience stuff for yourself.
Right.
Like, but also knowing what you do want to go experience, right? Like, and I think that's what the shrooms help with. You turn inward, you know where kind of guide yourself, and then you see other people experiences, and then you're like, you can use those as guides too, right? Like, I want to go, like, I wanted to go see the turtles. I didn't know that there were turtles there, but like, there was something beautiful to be seen. It that was I love that day. Like, I love like,
That sounds like an amazing day.
amazing day, and I was by myself, and I was just enjoying my own company and just my my own internal world, and really just understanding that I have like, I literally have everything I need within me to know how to navigate this life. I just have to tune in long enough to figure it out.
Very much so. So I know that you were saying that you were in nature. Do you think that there should be intention behind a set and setting when people are experiencing herbal medicines and psychedelics? Do you think that where you are, what environment you are, plays a role in how you experience and what you experience from herbal medicines?
Yes, very much so. I am very big on being intentional with my psychedelic experiences, with my medicine experiences. I I believe that it's just you have to be intentional about it. You can't just be popping, this is not Molly that you're just popping and going to the club, right? Like this is not like this is and even that I feel like is kind of like, not the scene for it. But like this is medicine, right? And when we go to in the Western world, when we want medicine, if we really want medicine, there's a setting for that, right? You go to the hospital to heal. You go to the pharmacy to, pick up your prescriptions. And 9 times out of 10, you should be taking that in the comfort of your home. So if there's intentionality in that, there should be intentionality in these herbal medicines that are derived from the earth. I feel like I don't think that it has to be this ceremony per se, right? It doesn't have to be all of that, but it should be consciously consumed in spaces that lend to the healing. And whether it's, I mean, in nature, whether it's surrounded by other people on that journey, on the same journey as you, right? Um, or whether it's just in your home, in a comfortable place where you're safe, where you can be seen and where you can be heard, or like, not somewhere where somebody else, might interact with you negatively, right? And shift that experience that you're happening, because that's very much like a easy thing to happen. I'm very um I'm very particular about that. I do many of my experiences alone. I have very few where, obviously, like my first couple times, I had somebody guide me and be there. Uh, but once I started experiencing and understood, you know, how to navigate these experiences, I was like, okay, we can do this by ourselves. And I've noticed a difference between me having experiences with other people and having experiences by myself. And it's just my own nature, right? When I know deep down that I am a medicine woman. So when I'm in those experiences, my thoughts aren't necessarily on myself, because I want to cater to that other person, or I'm monitoring them. So it's easier for me to just do my ceremonies alone. Unless it's something that should be facilitated by someone else. And in those situations, then it's just me and that person one on one.
Right.
Um, which is completely, like, understandable. But yeah, I think it should just definitely be intentionality. You shouldn't just be taking shrooms to be at a party, or like you shouldn't be, like,
Corner
you
store.
know, and people do it. And like, if you survive that, like, that's cool. But for me, I'm like, this is medicine, and it should be, there's not a lot of shoulds in the world that I believe in. But when you're dealing with expanding your consciousness, you have to be careful of what other consciousness are in your field.
Right.
Like, it can't just be because you're just commingling that energy.
Mhm.
You have to be mindful of that. You have to be mindful of that on a day-to-day basis, right? Like everybody says, be careful with energy or what vibes, the wizard of vibes, but then you just take this medicine that can expand you, and you're just taking it anywhere.
Very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, your energy becomes very sensitive to other people's.
Mhm.
You will start feeling everyone else's intention around you. Like
Yes.
so, I definitely
Yeah.
I I've learned like I prefer to do my herbal medicine ceremonies alone as well because I get more insight and things come to me versus me having to also get insight on a person who is, in the same room as me or people
Yeah.
same room as me because you never know what somebody is going through and what they're, what they also need to release too. So I think that being intentional, and even when you're with other people, like making sure that they're also intentional, and it can deepen the, experience. So I definitely agree with that for sure. Like,
Yeah.
so important. But I appreciate that. So, what advice would you give to people who are interested in experiencing psychedelics? Like, if you were to have a conversation with someone who has never did psychedelics before, but was a little curious about it, what advice would you give them?
Research. Research. There is tons and tons of research. Our biggest, I think, fear is rooted in lack of knowledge.
Right.
And what really allowed me to feel safe in doing psychedelics the first time was other people's experiences.
Mm.
What is the science behind it? How could it? And knowing and understanding, being open and understanding that there's negative side effects to everything, right? There's always the potential, right? I There's always the potential for a adverse experience.
Right.
But do the out do the negative outweigh the good? And being really able to sit down and critically think about the information that you receive, and then make an informed decision for yourself. It's There's so much research, there's so much development in psychedelics in the realm, right? Like there's so much. And I think the best thing to lessen that fear is to look into it and dive deep. And if you're really, really feeling called to it, I think the best thing is to start there and then find somebody that you trust, that you know has had these experiences, and sit with them. Allow them to sit with you while you have this experience for your first time. Um, because then the knowledge just grows in that, right? And we feel we are a community-based being, right? Like we need like that community to help pull us through. So having somebody there for your first couple times is there's nothing wrong with that. Like so just really just gaining as much knowledge as you can, and then finding somebody that can support you through that experience.
Very much so. I agree. Having someone, especially like if you feel like you're going to have an uncomfortable experience,
Mhm.
and if you find someone who can guide you into that experience, it definitely helps. Also, microdosing is an amazing way to kind of introduce yourself to the medicine. Um,
Mhm.
with mushrooms, you can kind of get an introduction as to what the medicine is like before, going full throttle in the.
Yeah.
So I definitely suggest. What do you think? What are your thoughts on microdosing? Like,
So I am not what's the word? I'm not consistent enough to do microdosing. My life is pretty up and down. Just the industry that I'm in on the day-to-day basis is just it's not always conducive to routines like microdosing and keeping track of all that. So I'm always a advocate for um for definitely in trying it, right? Like I know so many people that do it. Obviously you do, and our collective has, different programs for that as well. But um it's just not one of my things. And I'm kind of a all like my personality is we're all in on this, right? Like if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Like no, I'm not. And that's just me and my personality. Like I'm just like I'm not gonna take small doses over time. I'm gonna get the big hit and then go about my business. But I have seen it work wonders for others. And I know that so many other people they really benefit from it.
Yes, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Microdosing, it's definitely for people who want to like, I don't know, have more of like that medicine integration in their life, in their like daily practices, and people who may deal with like PTSD or depression, or just like high anxiety. It kind of definitely helps people release a lot of emotional suppression and things like that. Microdosing is amazing. I do like it a lot, but I also like just taking full doses and like
Yeah.
just breaking the veil,
Yeah.
like take me deep. I wanna be Alice, like
Yeah. That's so funny because I said that this morning. I was like, I'm literally like Alice in Wonderland.
for real, like,
Like,
"Where's the man? He is late again." Like,
yes.
so as a yoga I have one more question. As a yoga teacher, what do you feel like there is a integration in like the practices with yoga and psychedelics? Like, do you think that can also be beneficial for people who practice yoga? And how can they kind of integrate psychedelics in their practices or, just experience psychedelics without taking psychedelics? Do you think that's a possible thing?
Oh, definitely. Um, and I definitely believe so. Honestly, I believe shrooms actually led me to yoga. Um, and so much so to the point where, I I can I haven't had a shrooms experience in almost a year and a half since I started teaching. Um, but it also we did our psychedelic yoga teacher training,
Mhm,
and I think that that's a big part of that, right? Like I learned these skills and how to do it on my own.
mhm,
I learned these breathwork techniques and other healing modalities that can help me reset
mhm.
on a regular basis that give me that next level of, or I don't want to say next level of consciousness, but help me gradually get to, gradually expand my consciousness.
Right.
And it's just been happening gradually over the past year and a half, practicing yoga. And I also practice yoga in a hot yoga space. That experience alone brings you brings you to the brink, depending on the day. It brings you to the brink, and you get to explore those insights there, and it gives you that clarity. And then the psychedelic breath work. I mean, to pull that out the bag every once in a while, like,
It's
and
amazing.
just and settle into it. I mean, it's just been so amazing. So definitely there's other ways to have these psychedelic experiences, right? And that's what it taught me too. That's like, oh, like sometimes even I look at like just yoga, traveling, like having new experiences are psychedelic experiences.
Exactly.
You know, there's so many ways that we expand and we have these eye-opening experiences as long as you're open to it.
Yes.
And that's another thing too. You have to be open to having those experiences and having that expansion in your consciousness on a day-to-day basis. I feel like I have one every day. Like, I wake up and I'm like, "Oh, right? Like I can meditate, and meditation,
Mm,
um, huge factor in having those expansive moments.
yes,
So there's all these tools that we have, um, that I believe shrooms are here to lead us to.
very much so. Yeah. And mushrooms are definitely just one of those tools in the tool shed, and we could just be like,
Yeah, we get to pull it out when we need, pop it, you know? I need when you need a little bit more, right?
yes,
Like, when you need a little bit more and it's like, I you pull it out.
very much so. Very much so. Oh my God, so beautiful. Thank you so much, Taylor. Your insight has
Thank
been
you.
good.
Thank
So
you.
I know you have your own businesses. I know you have your own yoga teachings. Is there anything you want to shout out? Shout out your Instagram, your
Yeah, so, I have a lot. I have so many things going on.
Mhm.
But you can check out my Instagram. It's I am soul with 3 underscores. And I teach yoga. I'm a loctician here in Richmond. I am an air acupuncturist, Reiki healer, and a soon to be plant medicine guide and combo. And yeah, there's just so much more information on there about other plant medicines, um, just other healing modalities that I like to facilitate, um and just putting wellness and making it accessible and visible for the Black community is my number one goal. So yeah, you can follow me there, see more about what I'm doing, connect. I love to talk about this stuff. So if you ever want to, you just want to connect and talk, there's links there to book that, and yeah,
Yay! You're amazing.
oh, and so are you.
So, for everyone listening, I want to remind you that Beyond the Mask is not persuading anyone to take psychedelics. These are deeply personal experiences and they aren't for everyone. If you're curious, always do your own research, check the laws in your area, and if you choose to explore, do it safely and intentionally. If Taylor's story resonated with you, or if you have a similar experience, I love to hear your thoughts. So you can connect with me at Beyond the Mask 888 at gmail.com. So thank you again, Taylor, for being here. And
Thank
make
you for having me.
Taylor reach out to her for questions, comments, and anything else you want to know about her information. So thank you all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.